All right, we are streaming live here on YouTube, and I would like to welcome everyone that is hopping on this special presentation right now. I will give you the exact description of what we're doing in just one moment. And today is Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021. My name is Peggy Hall, and this is a special educational webinar for employers and those that are working in HR departments. This is for you if you are confused about religious exemptions, about Title VII of the US Civil Rights Act. And if you are in California, I'm going to be sharing some California laws that protect each individual's right to worship and right to have their religious beliefs and their right to actually conduct themselves in accordance with their God-given beliefs without interference from you, your company, your protocols, your measures, the CDC, the California Department of Health, and any other government or private agency, because all of that is in violation of the law. There are several laws that are being violated by employers, by human resources departments. And I hope that that is not something that's going to implicate you. So I'm going to bring you up to date on the law. My name is Peggy Hall. I am the founder of thehealthyamerican.org. I have been in education for over 30 years. I'm the former director of teacher education at the University of California, Irvine Extension. And I have been involved in legal analysis for a long time. My background is in political science. I have a bachelor's degree in political science. I have a master's degree in international policy studies. I have lived and traveled. I've worked for major corporations, including Procter & Gamble. I am very well informed on the law. I am not a licensed attorney, but attorneys come to me for advice and for my legal opinion and my legal expertise and my legal education. I'm an educator and I am here to educate you. So this presentation is intended for employers and those that work in the human resource departments, and even those supervisors or just small business owners that are very confused as to these measures that they are being asked to implement. So we're going to break down Title VII of the US Civil Rights Act. Title VII of the US Civil Rights Act is a federal law. No private company, no private individual, no state, no health department, no one has the authority to violate Title VII of the US Civil Rights Act, period. You do not have the right to violate that. We're going to look at that Title VII of the US Civil Rights Act because that is exactly what governs you as an employer and you as working in the HR department and anyone who is going to be reviewing and accommodating an employee who has put you on notice that they are invoking their religious exemption. Let's start very simply here. No one can be coerced, influenced, harassed, intimidated, or forced to do something that is in conflict with their sincerely held religious beliefs, period. The law prohibits harassment, retaliation, intimidation, threatening, and any other actions, which I'm going to share with you in just a moment, that actually are in violation and prohibiting or would seek to prohibit an individual from living their life and working in accordance with their God-given conscience. Now, just as an aside, a person does not have to belong to any recognized faith. They do not have to be a member of a church. There is nothing in the law that requires you as an employer to get something in writing from a religious leader. My religious leader goes by the name of Jesus Christ. It would be very difficult for you to get something from him in writing other than read the Bible. And I'm actually sincere about this. My husband, Pastor David, provides a complimentary attestation of faith for those that are a part of his ministry, True Hope Ministry. We're going to speak a little bit about what we do in case there's any confusion. Then I'm going to share a letter that has come from the HR department of Kaiser. Kaiser is one of the largest employers, not only in California, but in many states. And it is very troubling to me that the HR department of Kaiser appears to be very confused about the law and what the law entails. So I'm going to clear all of that up. First, let me state that with my background as an educator of human rights, of civil rights, and of God-given rights, over the last year and a half, I have researched and compiled a massive amount of remedies and resources at thehealthyamerican.org. I invite you to go there. I invite you to sign up for the information. I invite you to become a part of our concierge program. We are not selling letters on the internet. We are not providing a free template. We are providing education and information so that people like you and like your employees will be educated and empowered, and they will understand their rights and the laws that protect them. We do not talk about the science. We do not talk about the medicine. We do not talk about any side effects or numbers from the CDC. None of that has any bearing on an individual's religious rights. Those rights are granted to them by God, and those rights are protected by many laws, which I'm about to educate you on. I really hope that I'm going to share my screen, and I really hope that you will hop on over to thehealthyamerican.org, and I would love for you to become a part of what we do. So here we are on YouTube, and let me just type in thehealthyamerican.org. And there are free documents and help. The religious exemptions is where people are coming. This page is where people come to us to get help with their religious exemption, because unfortunately, many employers and many HR departments are trying to trick their employees. They are trying to prevent them from invoking their God-given rights. So we are educating people as to their rights and the laws that protect them. We show them the laws. We have discussions about what happens if they are being intimidated, harassed, retaliated against, which is all against the law. So I'm here to help you understand what retaliation looks like, what harassment looks like, what intimidation and coercion looks like, because I know you do not want to be participating in illegal activities, and all of those are violations of the law. So I hope that you will join one of these programs. It is not, and in fact, you can see many of the success stories we've had in educating people to stand up for their rights. Isn't that something you're in favor of? You as an employer, you have to follow laws. You have to follow labor laws. You cannot hire someone at one rate of pay and then pay them something else. That is illegal. And you are required to know these laws. And even if you don't know these laws, you are still held liable for them, even if you are ignorant of the law. And unfortunately, many HR departments and employers are ignorant of the law. They simply do not know what the law says. They watch something on TV or they read something on USA Today, and suddenly they think that that is the law. I'm going to show you the law in this special webinar, educational, informational program that I'm creating here for you for free. Now, if you would like to hop on board with us and invest in our professional resources, yes, you have a business and you probably charge for your professional resources, don't you? I'm certain that doctors, when they are writing medical exemptions, the patient pays for that appointment. The patient going to a doctor for a medical exemption pays the doctor for his or her professional services. This is how our economy is created. It's based on exchanging value for value. Now, there are some free resources for you that I really hope you will download and read. And this is the free religious exemption fact sheet. You'll know exactly what your employees know now, because I'm sure it's frustrating when they know more than some of your colleagues do in these areas. And there also is a 10 steps on how to get your religious exemption. We show them the pitfalls. We show them the traps that some employers are setting because they have gotten bad advice from some human resource association groups, which I will be exposing in a future video, and some law firms that are actually teaching employers and HR departments how to skirt the law, how to not accommodate an employee. That is going to land you in hot water. These are very, very pricey lawsuits. Not only are they expensive, but they're embarrassing. And those of you that are working in the HR department that are putting forth these policies, it will be extremely embarrassing for you professionally if it comes to light that you have been intentionally trying to trip up an employee. So let's just get it all out in the open. I'm here to help you save your dignity and your integrity. I'm here to help educate you and your company and your HR department and even your legal team on these legal issues. So please take advantage of these free resources. Further, you can get a sneak peek into what my husband, Pastor David, and I offer in these calls. It is all above board. We are teaching people about their rights and the laws that protect them, and then how to invoke their rights and use the laws to defend their freedom. What possibly could be wrong with that? How could that possibly raise any eyebrows? How could that possibly put an employee in the position of their sincerely held religious belief not being believed? That is a matter of their relationship with their creator. No one has the authority to usurp God. No one is able to usurp God's authority in that relationship. And if they have communicated it to you sincerely, the law states that you are to receive that sincerely held religious belief on face value. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. We are going to go exactly into Title VII. Then we offer help. That's what we do. We offer counseling services. We offer educational services. I am an educational consultant. I've been that for many, many years, and I've charged for those services for many years. This is my profession. You are in a profession and you get a paycheck for the services you offer. There is nothing whatsoever illegitimate, illegal, unlawful, unethical, or immoral for someone to pay us for our expertise in guiding them through this process. People go to employment counselors to learn how to prepare for a job interview, don't they? Don't they pay someone to review or even write their resume? Is that illegitimate? Is that unlawful? No. There's nothing in the law that says an individual cannot get counseling and help from a professional or seek counsel from a religious leader to help them formulate and identify their religious beliefs. That is what we are here for. If there is a law that prevents this, I ask you kindly to produce that for me. There isn't a law. So here you go. There's nothing wrong with getting help from Peggy and Pastor David to understand the laws that protect your religious rights. And you, as working in the HR, and you as business owners, why don't you learn about this and protect your own rights as well? These laws apply to everyone, including you. And if your conscience has been bothered by your position of having to bother and trip up employees to try to catch them in a trap with an interactive discussion, which, by the way, is not required by law. There is nothing in the law that says it has to be a verbal meeting. This is done intentionally to put pressure on the employee, to make them think on their feet, and then catch them with an isolated phrase that you can then point to and say, see, it's not about your religion. Shame on you if you're doing that. Shame on you. That is so underhanded. It just leaves me speechless. So if you have a conscience and if you want to do the right thing, you should be advocating for your employees that come to you for help. So let me show you exactly what we do here. We teach the laws. We're not selling a letter. That's the least important thing that we provide. We provide links to the laws. We interpret those. We share them. We help give people the moral support so that they can stand up to you. You who are intimidating and threatening and harassing them with the loss of their livelihood because they will not submit their bodies to you. You think that's okay? It's not. And the law agrees with me. So here we go. There are options for people to invest in our educational programs. Once they do so, they become a part of the True Hope Ministry. Pastor David counsels individuals. He prays for them. They come on our private group consulting calls. They are a bona fide member of our congregation. But guess what? The law says they don't need to be a part of any congregation. They do not even have to have a religious view that is a part of a traditional or customary religion. It can be their own view. They don't even have to have a belief in God. So for those of you that are scrutinizing an individual's sincerely held religious belief, I would like to ask you why? Why? Why are you doing that? It's utterly astounding to me. We are going to be looking at the law now. And actually, what I would like to do first is we are going to be looking at a letter from Kaiser. And this letter is anonymous. It came to me anonymously. And I want to alert everyone as to what these HR departments are saying. And I want to educate you as the HR employees and employers and business owners. And this applies to the government. Now, schools are under Title IV of the Civil Rights Act. I will be talking about that on another special educational webinar. What I would like to do now is queue up this letter, and this is going to be from Kaiser Permanente. So let me share my screen and we will take a look here, shall we? Here we go. So this is September 21st. This is yesterday. And I want to bring your attention to a couple of these points that are very troubling to me and that have no validity in the law. And I know that you do not, as a Kaiser employer, employee, HR staff member, you do not want to end up with Kaiser having a huge, costly, and embarrassing lawsuit. And then to have your name attached to this, that would be very, very troubling. So it says you are receiving this letter because you've been provisionally approved. Well, that's sort of a made up fake phrase anyway. You either are approved or you are not approved. Now, let me explain something that everyone who has a religious belief that they cannot and will not alter their immune system designed by God, they already are exempt. So the exemption is not going to be approved or not approved. It already exists. It exists just like it exists that there are 24 hours in a day. It is a fact. It is a fact that I personally am exempt from any behaviors or activities or measures or protocols. Call it anything you want. It's not a law. Protocols, measures, strategies, whatever. I am exempt from any of these that conflict with my sincerely held religious beliefs, period. Now, the question becomes the accommodation. The accommodation is the negotiation of what the employer is willing to do and has to do by law and what the employee will agree to. So I'm going to show you exactly Title VII. We're going to be breaking that down. Here we go. It says that they are requiring that everyone has the needle by September 30th, and that they are engaging in an additional review of exemption request. You don't request an exemption, you notify your employer. So I just want you to know this, staff members on the in HR, you don't approve an exemption. You accommodate an exemption. That's the first part of the law. There, now you know. We respect our employees who hold sincerely held religious beliefs, and we are committed to thoroughly and thoughtfully reviewing all requests for religious exemption under our policy. Remember, no policy is valid if it violates the law. You cannot have a policy that every Friday your coworkers have to sleep with each other. Yes, I'm using startling language on purpose. Could your policy require that people show up without pants on? Could your policy require that every male has a vasectomy? No, because policies cannot violate the law. So now we're clear on that. So I don't know this policy, but it is not valid or legitimate if it violates the law. Now, they go on to say, in the course of our review of exemptions, as part of our ongoing compliance, it has come to our attention that many employees have submitted similar or nearly identical exemption requests containing language that was taken verbatim from various free and paid template forms available on the internet. Okay, so verbatim means word for word. All right, Kaiser staff, you employ a lot of doctors and nurses, don't you? Don't they follow the same protocol that they were taught in medical school? Don't they follow things verbatim that they learned? Or do they just get to make it up on the fly? Does a doctor just get to, I don't know, guess about the amount of medication that he is going to prescribe? Or does he refer to something that he learned in order to implement it effectively. There is nothing in the law that says a person cannot take language from a letter or a template if it does indeed reflect their own sincerely held religious beliefs. This is protected by the First Amendment of the Constitution, which interestingly also protects an individual's right to their religious beliefs. That is called freedom of speech. A person has a right to express their sincerely held religious beliefs using the exact same language as someone else, if it is authentic to them. If I say that the Lord Jesus Christ is my savior, and someone else, or maybe 100 other people say, the Lord Jesus Christ is my savior, is that going to negate my sincerely held religious beliefs? If I say that I invoke my exemption to activities that are designed to alter my God-given immune system that was designed by him perfectly, and someone else uses that same phrase, you're telling me that that is not valid and sincere? On what grounds? Please provide the law that states a person may not use the same language verbatim as someone else. I would like to see that law. Well, I probably will be waiting a long time because it doesn't exist. So every time you make these statements, let me give you a friendly piece of advice. You need to cite the legal authority for your request. It doesn't exist. This is a non-issue. It's a moot point, as it would be referred to in law. Then it goes on to say, even more concerning are the discussions we have seen occurring in internet chat groups. Oh, so you are in the internet chat groups. What's the purpose of you being in the internet chat groups? I welcome you to come online with my concierge groups. I give you a hearty, warm welcome. I hope that you will watch every single video in my religious exemption playlist. There are about 75 videos. It will be an education for you, for your fellow staff members, for your employees, for your boss. I highly recommend that instead of spending time in the internet chat groups, you educate yourself on the law. I have all of this available to you for free. It says that Kaiser Permanente employees have been exchanging strategies. Please provide the legal authority that states exchanging strategies is against the law. I would not use that phrase, exchanging strategies. I would use the phrase, they are educating themselves on and others as to their legal rights. That's what they're doing. Where is it illegal to exchange a strategy to avoid an action that conflicts with your sincerely held religious belief? This is absolutely astounding language that you're using. And it's in writing, which means it can be used in future legal actions against you. There are many ways that people can take action against Kaiser Permanente. They can make a claim with the EEOC. They can make a claim with their state civil rights agency. And that's exactly what I teach people to do. In a case of being harassed, now this is bordering on, it's not quite hostile, but it is bordering on hostility, that you are questioning the sincerely held religious belief of an employee. No one has the authority to question someone's personal relationship with their creator. This is astonishing to me. If a Muslim came to you wanting to wear a scarf, you would put the Muslim through this. You would ask the Muslim for the imam's signature of the mosque. You see, this is what's called a double standard. You are engaged in Christian persecution, and it is illegal. And I'm about to show you all of the laws. Yes, this is going to be about an hour-long presentation. So we're barely halfway into it, because I want you to have all of the resources and the information that you need. I know you're not doing this on purpose, are you? No, you're not intentionally trying to deceive these employees, are you? You're not purposely fiddling with the words to catch them and to set a trap, are you? No, that would be untenable. That would be very, very horrifying to believe that that's what you're doing. So my belief is that you are just not educated on the law, and that's what I'm here for. So You're concerned by employees exchanging strategies. Why is that a concern? These are illegal activities. They have been distributing language and phrases that seem to be designed to create the appearance of a legitimate religious exemption. Oh, really? Where is your evidence that they are creating an appearance of a legitimate religious exemption? How dare you? How dare you? That's like questioning every single employee as to whether or not their marriage vows were sincere. You have no right to do so. This is bordering on harassment. We're going to look at harassment, a hostile work environment, coercion. It's all detailed under Title VII. I would be treading very, very carefully, Kaiser, with this letter. In fact, I would highly recommend, this is not legal advice. None of this is legal advice. It is education. And I would highly recommend that you retract this letter in its entirety and you replace it saying, congratulations, your religious, we are acknowledging your religious exemption and we are accommodating you as you have requested for eternity. These are not temporary approvals. This is different than someone's medical condition. They may have a broken leg for 6 months and then they have to renew or review their medical exemption if their broken leg has healed and they no longer need to be on crutches. One's religious exemption does not expire. There is nothing in the law that allows you to berate and coerce and harass an employee to ask again and again and again for these documents. Astonishing. So now it says, unfortunately, based on the fact that people were getting education and they were supporting each other and they were working in accordance with the law, unfortunately, now we are required to perform an additional review of all accommodation requests. No, you are not required to do so. In fact, the law requires you to accept someone's sincerely held religious belief on face value. I'm about to show you that law. I'm here to educate you on Title VII and on your obligations as an employer and as a staff member in the HR department and in the legal department, if that's where you are, or you're just a small business owner. You have no legal authority to devalue a person's sincerely held religious belief. We're going to take a look at that. It is critical that we continue to keep the safety of our staff, blah, blah, blah. You have no proof that anyone's actions or behavior is a threat to the safety or the community. That can only be proven by a licensed medical doctor who has given sworn testimony under the penalty of perjury that this individual in question is carrying a contagious disease. We're going to look at the laws in California that you are violating by assuming that someone is a threat. That's also a federal law that you are violating, a federal regulation. And in California, it is illegal to say that someone has a contagious disease when they don't. It's defamation. You don't want to be breaking all these laws, promise me. These are going to be very, very costly and embarrassing lawsuits. And those that are signing these letters are going to be named in them. All right, so this is what they're asking for you now. The request for an exemption must be in your own words. Well, that's logical, that's reasonable. But if someone's own words are similar to someone else's own words, it doesn't mean that it's not sincere. If you copied from a template or a form letter, you'll be asked to resubmit using your own words. That's fair to me. If your exemption request included a personal statement in your own words, you may be asked for additional information so that we can better understand the nature of your religious belief. This is really treading on thin ice. The law allows you to make a limited inquiry, limited. It is harassment if you are going above and beyond that. I'm going to show that to you. More detail is not required in most cases. You need to be very, very careful about this. You are getting very, very bad advice from whoever is advising this HR department at Kaiser. I don't know if your legal team is doing it. I don't know if you are attending seminars from some of these HR professional associations, which are teaching you how to skirt the law. I don't know if you have attended some webinars by different law firms that are teaching you how to skirt the law. It is very bad advice. I'm just putting you on notice. It's very bad advice. You're on very thin ice here with this letter. It is important that you provide accurate and truthful information. Under what? Now, you, Kaiser, need to provide your evidence as to why you believe it is not accurate and truthful. Under what circumstances? It's the same language that someone said, I invoke my religious exemption because this measure, your policies violate my sincerely held religious beliefs. And if someone uses that same phrase, you're saying it's not accurate or sincere. If you have 10 Muslims who all say, I cannot eat a ham sandwich, and you only believe one of them, but you don't believe the other 9 because they all use the same phrase, I cannot eat a ham sandwich. And then you're approving that they can't eat the ham sandwich, but you want them to eat the bacon bits. You don't get to pick and choose which behaviors are abhorrent to one's sincerely held religious beliefs. This is very weak, what you're doing here. It will not hold up in a court of law. This is right here, this is hostile, this is harassment. Failure to do so will result in disciplinary action. I would interpret that as a hostile statement. It's very inflammatory, it is threatening, and you are telling them that they are guilty until proven innocent. Our country is founded on the notion of innocent until proven guilty. You are required to accept their religious belief on face value until it's proven otherwise. You've got it in the reversed order. That is illegal. This is not my opinion. I'm about to show you Title VII. We're going to break down Title VII now in the second half of our very special presentation on this webinar. Now, they offer you to cancel your exemption. I would not cancel it to those employees that are listening. If this is your sincerely held religious belief, you stick to it. And then, of course, they offer you to participate in something that is against your religion. That is like forcing a Muslim to eat a ham sandwich. That is like forcing a Sikh to remove his turban. That is like saying, well, you can still shave your beard if you want to. No, certain religions do not shave their facial hair. Astonishing, absolutely astonishing. Please note, we are still making decisions about what, if any, no, you are required by law to provide a reasonable accommodation. And a reasonable accommodation does not include leave without pay. That's unreasonable. The law requires you to accommodate an employee once they have notified you of their religious exemption. I am so sorry that you are missing so many facts when it comes to Title VII. Didn't they put you through a program? Didn't they teach you about Title VII before you started writing all these letters? It's not even signed. They won't even put a name to it. Yeah, it's just the HR department. Astonishing, astonishing. No, there's no such thing as if any. You are required to offer a reasonable accommodation for employees. So that is the Kaiser letter. What I want to do now, let's see, let's just look at some of the things I brought up for your edification. What if your employer says you bought this letter off the internet? Well, I'll let you know what we do, because we don't sell a letter on the internet. We provide information and support and counseling for those, and I hope you will come join our program so that you will learn as much as your employees know about Title VII and about religious exemptions. Because right now it appears that they know more. And that's why it's very troubling to some employers, because they're being caught off guard. They are ignorant of the law. I'm here to remedy that. So individuals are seeking pastoral guidance and educational counseling to learn about the laws that protect their religious rights and how to apply those laws to prepare for their religious exemption. This is no different than going to a doctor and paying for a legitimate medical exemption, even if it was the first time visiting the doctor. Title VII does not require proving any length of a time attending any particular church. There does not need to be a letter, a document, or verification of any attendance, or even knowledge of any particular church doctrine, traditional or recognized religion, religious views, or doctrines. An atheist can get a religious exemption. The attestation of faith, which I'm going to share with you from Pastor David, it is a courtesy to educate you on Title VII. The attestation is to educate the employers on Title VII and how to avoid violating individual employees' rights. By the way, the government closed all the churches and wanted everybody to go online to church anyway. So it doesn't matter if someone is a member of Pastor David's True Hope Ministry, because Pastor David is in California and they may be in Connecticut. It doesn't matter. We are all a part of the body of Christ. There are no walls or geography when it comes to the family of God. I forgot to mention that I do pray for you and all you listening, that God will bring you this light of truth, because you are operating in darkness. And the truth is easy. It's light. It's clear. You start getting in all to this messiness, that is not of God. God is a God of clarity. So I do hope and pray that you will be convicted on this call and that you will turn from any activities where you are collaborating with evil, and that you will seek to uphold the law and to advise your employer, your staff members, your colleagues, your legal department, where they are creating policies that violate the law. It's very simple. So seeking pastoral guidance from an online ministry is legal, lawful, and legitimate. There are no laws prohibiting that. However, Title VII does prohibit Kaiser and all the other institutions, all other businesses from creating a hostile work environment. That's why I say that letter is on very thin ice. It's really on the edges. Very, very, I would be very, very careful of taking that any further, because that creates a hostile work environment. That's illegal. Retaliation after someone has invoked their religious exemption and then you treat them differently, that's illegal. Treating someone differently, there you go. Segregation, separation, demotion, or undesirable work assignment can be construed as unlawful discrimination, for which you would be legally liable. I don't think you want that to happen. So finally, we are at, here you go. If I was writing this, I would say, I would like to remind you that it is my sincerely held religious, ethical, and moral beliefs that are being evaluated, not those of a religious leader. It's astonishing to me that some places are saying, well, the Pope says that we want everybody to participate. It doesn't matter what the Pope says. None of that matters. All right. So what I want to do now is I want to show you the information about, many of you live in California. I want to share with you some California laws. Then we'll look at the federal laws. This is the California Religious Freedom Act of 2017. I'm going to enlarge this a little bit. The people of the state of California, meaning me, because we the people are the government, do enact as follows. The legislature finds and declares all of the following. In California, we celebrate the rich cultural heritage and diversity of our residents. Freedom of religion and protection from persecution on the basis of religion are the founding ideals of our nation. Did everybody get that? You don't get to persecute someone because of their religious beliefs just because you're afraid that you're going to be sick. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't say here, except in the case of an emergency, except in the case of a pandemic. It does not state it because it does not apply. All right, let's continue. C, California must uphold the protection of religious freedom enshrined in the United States Constitution and the California Constitution, And the state has a moral obligation to protect its citizens from religious persecution, period. D, Section 4 of Article 1 of the California Constitution guarantees, do you understand that word, my friends, guarantee? It's not an option. It's not a preference. It's not a possibility. It's not, well, we'll check and see. It guarantees. That means without exception. Okay, we're getting somewhere, aren't we? Glad to know you're on board and learning all this about the laws. Section 4 of Article 1 of the California Constitution guarantees the free exercise and enjoyment of religion without discrimination or preference, without discrimination. Further, in order to protect the people of California from religious or ethnic persecution or discrimination by law enforcement or by any public agency, it is necessary that this measure take immediate effect. You have no authority to violate someone's religious beliefs, period. There's nothing in the law that says, except in the case of an emergency, except if it conflicts with our company's policy, except if we're afraid that people are going to be sick. It doesn't exist. Let's go on, shall we? All right, what else have I got here lined up for you? I want you to see the laws. All right, here we go. Let me stop share for just a moment, because the other thing that I want to do is share with you all of the California laws that you are protected by. And I also want, I have a few of these here that I want to line up for you. But the other thing that I want to tell you right now is that I hope you are going to join our program, because I want you to see exactly what the employees are getting. And what I'm going to share here is the California laws. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen once more, and we are going to look at California laws that Kaiser is in violation of if it does not accommodate someone's sincerely held religious belief. And here it is, California laws that protect religious rights. I compiled these, I researched them, I didn't write them. And this is what I do. I educate people as to their rights and the laws that protect them. So California law allows for a variety of remedies and penalties when someone discriminates against a person who is in a protected class. So discrimination based on religion is prohibited in California, and it's prohibited in every state. But since I live in California, I want you to understand that the California Fair Employment and Housing Act prohibits discrimination. And here it is, unlawful practices. California Government Code 12940, the Fair Employment Act. I'm just curious, anyone that's watching this that it works for the HR department, anyone that owns a company, do you know about California Government Code 12940? You really need to know about it, because this is the law that you're violating. It's a simple law and you need to abide by it. So California Government Code 12940, it is unlawful employment practice for an employer because of race, religious creed, and it goes on, to discharge the person from employment, right? Telling them that they can go on unpaid leave. That's basically, you have discharged them because they're not earning any money. Or you discriminate against the person in terms of compensation or conditions or privileges of an employment. California Government Code 12926Q. Your face covering is a part of your religious creed. I do not cover my face, and I am protected by law not to do so. So for those employees that are seeking the accommodation of appearing at work with their God-given bare face, they are protected by law. California Civil Code 43 protects the individual's right to be free from bodily harm. You may not impose a policy that creates bodily harm. It's illegal. This one's very important. California Civil Code 46. It is a violation of personal rights to slander someone by imputing them, which means saying that they have an infectious or loathsome disease when they don't. It is against the law for you to tell me to stay at home because I might make someone sick when you have no evidence of that. It's a violation of the law. You're violating many laws here that you may not have been aware of. California Civil Code 51. Every person in this jurisdiction is free and equal, no matter their religion. Free and equal. They have to be treated equally. California Business and Professions Code 16721. It prohibits a person from being disqualified, meaning you're not going to hire them, or by being employed because of their religious views. And these are just the state laws. We haven't even gotten to Title VII. Further, California Health and Safety Code 24171 protects the right of individuals to determine what is done to their own bodies. How can you, in good conscience, coerce someone into doing something to their body that they don't want to? You can't. It is against the law. Now, we're not talking about the status of these interventions because that may change, but California 24172 does protect the right of no consent to a medical experiment without any element of force, fraud, deceit, duress, coercion, or undue influence. Telling someone that they might lose their job is duress. It's coercion. It's undue influence, and it is illegal. All right, let's continue. We looked at those California laws. What I would like to do now is show you Title VII of the U.S. Civil Rights Act. And this actually has been, Title VII has been summarized by the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, under Section 12, religious discrimination. And I highly recommend that you study Section 12, religious discrimination, on the EEOC website. And so you can look at this. This is their interpretation of Title VII. There's a very nice and comprehensive table of contents here. And I'm going to go through this briefly, and then I will show you a summary that you can have as well. So you can look at exactly the, for example, here we have employment decisions, harassment, prohibited conduct, employer liability. So it is illegal. Religious harassment is analyzed and proved in the same manner as harassment based on other traits protected by Title VII, such as race, color, sex, and national origin. Now, it says Title VII, it is an unlawful employment practice for an employer to discriminate against any individual with respect to his compensation. You cannot put someone on unpaid leave. I hope you're hearing me. It's illegal. It is illegal to tell someone that they are going to agree to a voluntary resignation. It's illegal. You cannot do that in their terms, conditions, or privileges of employment because of the individual's religion. Period. It's illegal here, prohibited. It's against the law. So it is against the law for you to engage in religious coercion. That letter that I read is bordering on coercion and harassment. This is unnecessary. The person submitted their exemption. You already approved it. If I were an employee of Kaiser, I would be putting a claim against Kaiser in the EEOC. I would be putting a claim in my state's civil rights agency, which in California is called the Department of Fair Employment and Housing, dfeh.cad.gov, and I would notify my employer of my intent to open a formal case of complaint against them for religious discrimination. That's what I would do. All right, religious coercion. Title VII is violated when an employer or supervisor explicitly, meaning on purpose, or implicitly meaning they didn't really know they were doing it, when they coerce an employee to abandon, alter, or adopt a religious practice as a condition of receiving a job benefit or privilege or avoiding an adverse employment action. Now, they are coercing you to abandon or alter your religious views by dishonoring God and sinning against God. Now I'm speaking to the employees. So as an employer, you cannot coerce an employee to abandon their sincerely held religious belief. It is a violation of the law. Now they give other examples. You cannot create a hostile work environment. Title VII prohibits a hostile work environment because of religion. Now, that may be physical or verbal harassment, which would include the unwelcome imposition of beliefs or practices. A hostile work environment is created when the workplace is permeated with discriminatory intimidation, ridicule, and insult. I would be insulted by that letter. I would take this as a complaint on the grounds that I was insulted, that you, as the employer, did not believe and that you questioned my sincerely held religious beliefs. The law does not allow you to do that, and I'm about to show you why. So we're going to go on and on. There are many examples here of the unwelcome conduct and the religious persecution. What I want to do, because this goes on and on and on, we're going to talk about employer liability. An employer is liable. An employer is always liable for a supervisor's harassment. So you, as the HR department, harassing an employee, Kaiser will be liable for a very, very costly lawsuit. It will be embarrassing and the employee will win. So why not just avoid all of that? Why not set Kaiser out as a shining example of truth and upholding the law? You would have people swarming to work for you rather than leaving in droves. You could set Kaiser up as an example of abiding by the law and honoring each individual's sincerely held religious belief. That is what I would like to see from you. So harassment is when it results in a tangible employment action. For example, harassing employee behavior. An employer is liable even for a co-worker's harassment. So they go on, and there are many examples here. Now, what I want to show you is a summary, all right? I'm going to show you exactly, this is behind the scenes for those who have engaged our services, our professional services, for a fee. They can get many things for free if they like, but if they would like to have our professional consultation, just like if I go to a doctor, I pay a fee for a professional service. If they would like our professional services, this is what they get. I'm just going to show you. So everything's out in the open. You may already have signed up to see exactly what they're getting anyway. And they get information about the fact sheet, how to get their religious exemption approved. And then what I want to show you is the attestation of faith from Pastor David. All right. We will look at the one. We'll take a look here. When a person reaches out to us, they become a part of our ministry. And this individual receives prayer, counseling, and support from True Hope Ministry. It's valid. Regardless of the region, we are all members of the body of Christ. And Pastor David provides the doctrinal stance of the Christian worldview, even though it's not required to do. He's doing it as a courtesy. So the body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Intrusions, unwanted intrusions into the body are antithetical and incompatible to the teachings of Holy Scripture. So such intrusions could include, but are not limited to, I can't say these words in public, covering the face, testing, and the needle. Every believer is a member of the body of Christ, regardless of one's geographic region. The individual here does not have to prove any attendance in any particular church, any length of time of religious conviction, nor do they have to be aligned with any formal religion. Just as a person may seek expert medical care from the Mayo Clinic or another reputable medical center for expertise in healing the body, a person has the lawful right to seek or see expertise from a pastoral counselor, regardless whether or not that assistance is sought online or in person. He wants employers to call him with questions. Very few do. So federal law, Title VII, protects each individual's right to one's sincerely held ethical or moral beliefs. There is no requirement for an individual to belong to any traditional, organized, or recognized denomination of any faith. Even atheists may seek exemptions. Now here I have, where Pastor David has summarized that document that we just looked at. Here's a summary. Here we go. Definition of religious discrimination. Religion defines all aspects of religious observances, not just practices that are mandated by the tenet of the individual's faith. So someone might say, well, the Catholic Church said everybody should get the needle. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The Catholic Church is not seeking the exemption. The individual is seeking the exemption. Further, when you have an employee come to you, their belief does not need to be confined to any traditional concept of religion. Further, religious beliefs do not need to be acceptable, logical, or even consistent. Someone could say that they do not defile their body and they have tattoos. It doesn't matter. In their view, a tattoo is not the same as altering their immune system. And you as the employer have no right to judge this according to Title VII. That's what I'm sharing with you right now, the EEOC interpretation of the law. The EEOC is the federal agency that has the authority to interpret this law and to uphold it and to hold you responsible when you are violating it. It gets very expensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars in these lawsuits. And at that website, which I'm going to show you very quickly again, at this website, when you go near the bottom of the website for the employers and the HR departments, keep going through, you're going to see here are all of the laws. They talk about the undue hardship. You can't just say it's a hardship. You have to demonstrate it. We're going to talk about that. Look at all of these laws. All of these laws. It's going to go on and on. These were all lawsuits that said you cannot violate. Here you go. Lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit after case after case after case after ruling after ruling after ruling after ruling. I'm just going to go on and on. I'm going to scroll super fast. All of these are showing you that the employee has the right to their religious exemption. So you think you're going to go up against the Supreme Court with all of these lawsuits that have already been ruled on? It's very, very, very risky business here. It's all of these. It's just going on and 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 on. These are lawsuits that were ruled in accordance with Title VII that prevents you as an employer from violating someone's religious belief. It goes on and on and on. Here we go. We're still going. We're still going and going and going and going and going. So why don't you set aside several days, maybe a couple of weeks with you and your HR department and your legal department and read these lawsuits that were ruled in accordance with Title VII. And these lawsuits very clearly state that the employee has rights that you cannot violate. It goes on and on and on. I'm still scrolling on and on. This will take forever. I better scroll a little faster. It's going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. All of these are lawsuits that are in the employee's favor. Are you with me? Okay. I hope you're going to take this information back to your HR department, to your legal department, to the owner of your business and say, look, we are required to accommodate this employee. And further, you accommodated them all last year by working at home. So you've already proven that you can accommodate them. You can't suddenly say, well, it's a hardship. It has not been a hardship all the previous year. So that will not hold up in court. So religious beliefs do not have to be logical, consistent, or comprehensible. You do not even have to understand your employees' religious views in order to accommodate that. Are you clear? There's nothing in Title VII that says you have to understand their sincerely held religious views. So why are you questioning them? Very thin ice, very, very thin ice. Here you go. I've been telling you, as my friend says, I'm bringing the receipts. Here you go. Like the religious nature of a belief, observance, or practice, the sincerity of an employee's stated religious belief is usually not in dispute and is generally presumed or easily established. You are violating the law by requiring them to resubmit their information. It should be easily established. Why are you harassing them? Why are you asking for additional documents? Where is your authority to do so? The commission and courts say that businesses should not be in the business of deciding whether a person holds religious beliefs for the proper reasons. Period. Revoke that letter, send out a new letter saying everyone has their religious exemptions have been acknowledged and the accommodations are forthcoming in perpetuity, meaning forever. That is what you need to do, Kaiser, and everyone else listening. So it does not, you do not have to understand them, and they should be easily established, and you should generally believe them. Again, the employer should ordinarily assume that an employee's request for religious accommodation is based on a sincerely held religious belief. You should assume it from the get-go. This on and submit this and have a meeting and this and that. That is bordering on harassment. You are creating a hostile work environment. The law is not going to, the court is not going to find this in your favor. Why would you go through all of this? I'm sure it's not because of money. I'm sure it's not because you're getting money from the federal government. That would be horrible, wouldn't it? All right. Now, if an employee requests a religious accommodation, remember, the exemption is a given. They already are exempt. You're not approving or disapproving their exemption. You are now either going to accommodate or not accommodate their exemption. Are we clear? That's what the law says. So when an employee requests religious accommodation and an employer has an objective basis for questioning either the religious nature or the sincerity of the belief or the observance or the practice, the employer would be justified in seeking additional supporting information. We go on. For the purpose of seeking a religious exemption, the organization receiving the request may only make a reasonable inquiry, not an unreasonable one. It is unreasonable when someone has already stated their belief. Now, if someone sent you their religious exemption and they said, I am exempt because I take vitamins, here's all my receipts, all the vitamins I bought, and I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, and I haven't been sick in 10 years. Now you can make a reasonable inquiry because none of that was related to a religious view. You understand me, right? If your employee says, I'm invoking my religious exemption because I've seen too many side effects and I'm worried that I might have a side effect, you could question that as a religious view. It's not a religious view. That's a reasonable inquiry because you're like, show me how that applies to your religious practice. That is allowed for by the law. But when your employee has already told you that these actions are in conflict, why are you berating them? Why are you continuing to seek additional information when they've already provided it? That's my question for you. So this is from Pastor David. He talks about why a Christian would object to this. There are many reasons why. It is a legitimate objection. You are required by law to accommodate it. For example, they work at home, or they have their own office, or they stay 6 feet apart. There is a legitimate reason to object to this. By the way, OSHA says that an employer may choose to offer this. It is not required. You show me where it is required. Even Cal OSHA says that an employer may choose to offer screening, symptom screening, for someone who is not sick. Further, this is a violation of an unwanted intrusion by someone who is not going to participate in a deception that they're sick when they're not, to be tested for something. So that is also a violation of their rights. And of course, to the needle. Now, you have had exemptions for many years at Kaiser for those that don't get the flu needle. It already exists. You've already accommodated them. So it is not a hardship to accommodate someone for this needle. You've already proven it. And if these disputes go in front of a judge, it will be extremely difficult, if not impossible, for your company to prevail. The law is on the side of the employee. Now, I am going to do a part 2 because we already have gone on for an hour. I'm going to be doing a part 2 of this special educational webinar for employers and HR departments. And I'm going to be doing one for the legal department. And I'm going to be showing a little snippet of what some of these human resource professional associations are teaching and provoking you to do, which is illegal. And I probably will show a snippet of a law firm also instructing companies like yours to skirt the law. It's very, very wrong of you to do that. So I'm grateful that you were on board with us. And thank you to everyone that is going to send this video to your employer. This will be embedded at thehealthyamerican.org. I'm going to put it for free right on the website under religious exemptions. I probably will also put it right on the homepage of the website so everyone can see it. It's available. You all now just got a lesson in Title VII of the US Civil Rights Act. Before I do log off here, I do want to show you one more thing that I summarized. This is very, very important. So you can get this when you are, here's everything about Title VII, the actual law. And here it is for schools. And then here is an example of employer liability. And I actually summarize this. I have one little typo there. It's EEOC, but you can see where the link is. You can click right through. So Title VII is violated when an employer coerces an employee to abandon or alter their religious practice. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. When you're making somebody cover their face or be tested or to do any practice that is against their sincerely held religious beliefs, you're in violation of the law. It's very simple. It's right here, and there it is. It's illegal to create a hostile work environment. It's illegal. Sending out these letters and asking again and again and telling them that it's provisional and it will be reviewed again, that's hostile and it's illegal. So now you know, and you won't do it any longer. In fact, I would like all of the employers that are online right now and all of the HR departments, all the legal departments, would you please make a pledge in writing and just say, I pledge to abide by Title VII. I pledge to abide by Title VII of the US Civil Rights Law. You know, this was the US Civil Rights Act of 1964, when they used to treat people with dark skin differently, when employers had the right to not hire someone because of their skin tone. You don't want to be complicit in turning the clock back 50 years, do you? I don't think so. So why don't you make a pledge right now? And those of you that are watching that are employees, if you would make a pledge and say, I pledge to invoke my religious exemption. You don't have to ask for it. You're not requesting it. I pledge to invoke my religious exemption. I already am exempt. I am exempt from any activities that conflict with my sincerely held religious views. And remember, your religious views are related to religion. Don't talk about the science. Don't talk about the medicine. Don't talk about how you never get sick and you take vitamins and you go to bed early. And, you know, don't talk about the side effects. That legitimately is not part of your religious views. You want to stick to your religious views. Why is this in conflict? For me, God created me with an immune system. I am already fully immunized. And if I had to fill out a little box, by the way, employers, you should add another box onto your form that says, let's see, have you done this? Have you not done it? Or are you fully immunized? I am fully immunized thanks to the grace of God He created me with an immune system that is going to function according to his laws. And if he wants me to have any difficulties with that, that is up to him. Furthermore, employers, you do not have the right to question someone regarding, do you take other medication? That has nothing to do with their job function. Their questions can only be related to their job function. So you cannot ask about, you know, if you're asking about religious holidays, is that because they're going to take a day off? If you're asking about their service times, That's intended like for Muslims that aren't going to work on Fridays or something, or maybe they have a different holiday that doesn't align with our Judeo-Christian calendar of federal holidays such as Christmas. Yes, Christmas is a federally recognized holiday because our country was founded on Christian values, and Kaiser does not have the authority to usurp those values. So I would like to remind you that you are creating a hostile line of questioning when you say to someone, well, don't you go to the dentist? What does going to the dentist have to do with taking something to alter my immune system? What does getting a shot of Novocaine, which is my choice and it's temporary and it's needed for an emergency or a medical situation? I don't need anything. My medical condition is A-okay. It's very different from me taking an Advil or an aspirin for a headache because I have a condition that needs a remedy. I don't have a condition that needs a remedy. So that line of questioning is also hostile. It is hostile for you to say, well, don't you do any other medical care? How does that impact my job function? Your line of questioning for the accommodation, remember, they already are exempt. The law says that the employer is reasonably required to accept the exemption and the religious beliefs as sincere. So that's already a given. Now you're going to have the accommodation. How do we accommodate them? That's where the accommodation comes in. The law also says that you do not have to have a discussion. So stop with this meeting business. We know you're setting a trap. We know it reflects very poorly on you. Everybody can see through it. It looks like you're setting a trap for the employees to catch them. It's very uncomely of you, very unseemly. You should really stop that practice. Now, you can have an interactive process which takes place in writing. So like Kaiser did, Kaiser said, give us your information in writing. So anyone who is listening now, my opinion, and if it were me, I would never have a verbal discussion about this. I would attend a meeting and I would let them know, I will listen and I will take all of your questions in writing and I will reply to all of your questions in writing, giving them the thorough consideration they deserve. Personally, I will never have any verbal discussion about this because the law says anything I can say and will be held against me. It's difficult to think on your feet. You may, especially if it's on Zoom, you may not have heard it. Someone may have interpreted it differently. The person doing the questioning already has the questions. The other person is at a disadvantage. It's very unseemly and very, very unprofessional of you in the HR world to insist upon a verbal discussion, especially after someone replies to you and says, I'll answer all of your questions in writing, and you continue to have the back and forth. That is now harassment. The law and the courts will judge that as harassment and hostility. So I'm going to share my screen one last time. And I know we're going a little long, but I want everybody to have this. So employers are automatically liable for religious harassment. We talked about that. Title VII requires an employer, once on notice, to reasonably accommodate an employee who has a sincerely held religious belief that conflicts with these policies that you have. So you cannot require a Sikh to remove his turban because it looks like people are afraid that he's a terrorist or something. You can't do that. It's against the law. This has already been held up in the courts. You cannot require a Sikh to shave his beard, and this has been upheld in the courts. A Sikh entered the army, and he was allowed to keep his beard and his turban, even though government policies say you have to be clean shaven because it's his religious belief. So that's the accommodation. You now are on notice. You are on notice because these employees gave you notice that they are exempt. You are required. Do you see this word? Required. You are required to reasonably accommodate an employee. Putting them on leave without pay is not reasonable. Telling them that they have to use up all their vacation is not reasonable. Telling them that they have to pay $200 more for their health insurance because they didn't get the needle is not reasonable. This is unreasonable, and you will be held liable for it in a court of law. And these cases will go forward. All of the employees that are listening, hang tight, be patient. It will all be resolved in court. Companies are already backpedaling because they know that they've been caught, because people like me I don't really know anyone else other than me. I am educating people on their rights. It seems like everyone else is educating the employers on how to violate those rights. I'm not going to stand for it. I'm not even an employee. And I'm fighting for you because I care. I care about truth and I care about honoring God. Now, the only way you would not be able to accommodate an employee is if there is an undue hardship. Let's spend a minute here. I've spoken about this a lot. I hope you're going to binge watch my religious exemption playlist. You could make a pledge there too. I'm going to binge watch Peggy's religious exemption playlist. I have all of the answers. Listen, you have to demonstrate if it's an undue hardship. Undue, it can be a hardship. You have to accommodate your employee, even if it's a hardship. Repeat after me. You must accommodate an employee, even if it's a hardship. Only if it's an undue hardship, and you must demonstrate it. You cannot just state it. There has to be a demonstration of evidence that it is undue. It is more than a minimal hardship. So if an employee wanted their own office, their own air filtration system, if they wanted a chauffeur to pick them up at home and then drive them to work so they wouldn't breathe on anybody in the meantime, and if they requested to have a 5-star chef provide them with meals every day on the job so they wouldn't have to go into the employee workroom, that might be undue hardship. But working from home is not an undue hardship. Having them rearrange their working hours is not an undue hardship. How do I know? You've already been doing it. You've already been doing it for the flu needle. Those that work at a hospital, you've already accommodated them all these years. Now suddenly you can't? Shame on you. Shame on you. Actually, I want to say, I'm going to pray for you that your God-given conscience is going to awaken and that you'll say, what am I doing? Why am I persecuting people? Why am I collaborating with evil? That's my prayer for you. Maybe you were simply just ignorant of the law. And in that case, I retract my statement, but now you know. Now you know you are required to offer a reasonable accommodation. All right, and it goes on and on and on. And here we go. I want you to really understand this. This is not my language. This comes from that lengthy document I showed you, section 12, which is what you're going to study. Section 12, which is the all of the description of the Title VII laws that protect employees from being persecuted because of their religion. Sad, isn't it, that we're having this discussion in the United States of America about our Christian values, or Buddhist, or Jewish, or Muslim, that we are being persecuted for our religious faith? I am never going to stand for it, ever. God put me here as an educator to educate you. He put me here as a warrior to fight evil. And I hope that you are going to join us in this battle, and that you specifically, that are employers and at the legal departments and in the HR departments now, are going to say, hey, I learned something on this webinar and I want you to watch this free webinar. And I want you to be educated all about Title VII, because we've been making some mistakes and we are going to be held liable. So here's another one. An employer is not required by Title VII to conduct a discussion with an employee. Period. It does not have to be a discussion. Now, there can be an interactive process, and it says there has to be cooperation and flexibility. Are you with me? From both the employer and the employee, cooperation and flexibility. You guys, I love the law. I love teaching about the law because it's in black and white. I'm not teaching about the science. I'm not talking about side effects. I'm not talking about anything other than this is what the law says, all right? There's a stop sign and you stop at it, period. These are laws that you are required to follow. Now, the employer is entitled to make a limited inquiry into the facts and circumstances. So this would be a dispute that would be settled in court. Limited to me is I've already given you my information. I want to ask you what you don't believe about my statement. And you can't say, well, because it's like his statement. Well, it's going to be like his statement because we are both members of the body of Christ. So we all say the same, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Are you going to complain about somebody reciting the same prayer? Are they supposed to make up their own Lord's Prayer? It doesn't matter if the language is the same. What matters is what's in their heart. There may be those employees that have difficulty expressing themselves in writing. There's no harm in having assistance in expressing themselves. My gosh, it is astonishing to me that you are looking for every little crack and cranny, nook and cranny to try to refuse someone's sincerely held religious belief when the law is clearly on their side. Here it is. The employer is entitled to make a limited inquiry. And here you go. This is what I'm going to end on, because this is what I started. I started with the letter from Kaiser saying that they were going to review everyone's exemptions again, because heaven forbid they were talking about it on an internet chat room. It doesn't even make sense to me. This is called education. That's how we get educated, is by learning and talking and sharing information. You want everybody to be ignorant? Here we go. Employers who unreasonably request unnecessary. That's what I would say if I was being questioned. This is unnecessary. I already gave it to you. I already told you my religious belief. This is unnecessary or excessive. When do you go? What are the holy days? Give me the names of 3 people that can say that they saw you at church. It's completely illegal. You guys are getting really bad legal advice. I would fire your legal department. I would fire them right now if they're the ones giving you this legal advice. Very, very bad. Here it is. And if you want to make a donation to the Healthy American, I would love that. You can donate for this hour. I'm going on an hour and 20 minutes of educating you in this complimentary webinar. So yes, I would love if you wanted to support me. Employers who unreasonably request unnecessary, because you're paying these attorneys for bad advice that's going to land you in a costly, embarrassing lawsuit. Excessive corroborating evidence, you risk being held liable for denying a reasonable accommodation request. And your actions are now going to be challenged as retaliatory or as a part of a pattern of harassment. And that's exactly what you are doing. Friends, I want to help you with all of this. Let me get back on our live stream here. And I want to help you. We've had, oh my gosh, we've had hundreds and hundreds of people watching this. And I know we will have thousands and thousands of watching this. And those of you that have been denied, I want you to reach out to me, support@thehealthyamerican.org. I want you to do an appeal, and I want you to notify your employer today of your intent. That's the word. Now I'm speaking to the employees. I want you to notify your employer today of your intent to file a formal complaint with your state civil rights agency. That's what you're going to do. Once you file that, employers, listen, once they file that and you fire them, it's clear that it's retaliation. This ongoing asking for information, I mean, that really was the highlight of this whole program. You don't have the right to ask for excessive information. You don't have the right to continually question their sincerely held religious belief. What you have the right to do is to accommodate the individual who has come to you seeking an accommodation as required by law, Title VII. We're all clear, aren't we, friends? I want you to watch this video again and again and again. You should put it on your phone. You can do it as a podcast while you're driving. Don't watch, just listen. And you are going to be well-versed in these rights and the laws that protect them. So I'm going to sign off here, everybody. Please go to thehealthyamerican.org. Please put that in there. And thank you to everyone who has been a part of the Concierge program. If you are telling me that your request has been denied, I want to see that request because it has been denied illegally. It should not be denied. We have, I would say, a nearly 100% success rate with those who have followed our strategy and our approach, which is stick to your religious views. Don't talk about the science. Get everything in writing. Do not have a verbal discussion that's intended to trip you up. And at every question your employer asks you, you ask them a question for the legal authority for that question. The law is on your side. Would everybody drop that in a comment? The law is on my side. I am already exempt. I am protected by Title VII. My employer is required to accommodate me. I am going to seek an appeal if I have been denied. I'm going to open a formal complaint with my state civil rights agency that protects me from harassment based on my religious views. And please pray for me, everybody. Evil does not like the truth, and I am a truth teller. My whole purpose of life is to bring God's light of truth. And I know I come across a little bit snarky sometimes. I come across a little bit, that's okay, because I want to wake people up. I want to startle and shock and astonish people so that they'll say, what in the world? That's why I use those examples that are so shocking. So please pray for me. Pray for Pastor David. We are here for you. We make a really strong team. I've got the law. He has the religion. I've got all of the education and the data. He is going to counsel you and pray for you. We are doing our weekly, oh my gosh, we're doing like every 5 days, our consulting calls. It's not too late to get on for September. We have 2 more calls for September, and I want you to join both of those. You have the resources and the materials for the rest of your life. You will have access to all of the previous consulting calls that we've done. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of questions that we've answered. We've got dozens of hours, ongoing hours. I thank you. Abby says the concierge program is worth it. Stargirl says she will stand her ground. We will prevail. Lucy says the law is on my side. Deborah is praying. DB is praying. Katerina, thank you. I read earlier, I hope that you will, oh my gosh, I've been doing so many lives. Please go back and watch them all. We have had so many people tell us about their success stories. And I want to give you some of that. Oh my gosh, we've had so many good success stories. Let me just do this real quick. One last share. I'm actually late for another appointment. I'm so sorry, but I am still streaming live. Let me share my screen one more time for anybody who wants to know. These are just what we got. I just copied and pasted this off of the chat. Bless you, Peggy and Pastor Dave. You allow me to sleep at night for all your hard work. I used this process and my accommodation was approved today. Thank you so much. I'm an RN. My religious exemption was accepted. And for that, I thank you for all of the documents, the Zooms, and the videos. All right, let's go on and on. Peggy gave me the courage to stand up to the public train conductors and claim my rights not to wear the scam anymore. What authority do you have to judge my sincerity? That's what I would ask your employer. Whether they believe you or not is not relevant. What's relevant is that they have to accommodate you. You can say, I mean, it doesn't matter. That's right. It's illegal to put them on unpaid leave. Okay, let's see some more. Okay. This information is beyond valuable. Thank you for changing my life. It's amazing and valuable, extremely valuable, completely amazing. I'm learning so much, a great foundation. I feel so much more confident because of you, Peggy. I'm getting an education. Everything you provided has been very valuable. This is on our concierge calls. Imagine what I'm doing now, only you get to chat and connect with others and you get to keep it. We give you all the documents for your research and remedies. Thank you. Helene says, I'm an amazing teacher. I'm learning so much. You are an answer to prayer. I was asking for God, for his wisdom. He led me to your site. I'm feeling so much more confident. That's right. If they say, why did you got a shot before? Well, I changed my mind. Now I'm convicted by the Holy Spirit. Lori says that God has directed her to me. Thank you so much. All right. It's really great. I've learned everyone is already exempt. The law is working in your favor. Absolutely valuable. Frank says it's the best education that he's learned. Diane, I finally have the confidence to speak up. Chad is recommending me. Friends, please recommend the Healthy American to everyone you know. I would not be able to sleep at night if somebody lost their job because they didn't have this information. Share this video, link it, put it on Telegram, all your chats. I want everybody to have this. This is like some of the best distilled information that I can share. I've been losing sleep. Now she's ready for the restful night. You're being highly recommended by my peers and friends. Marcel says it's the best money I've ever spent. I've already recommended that people go to your website and check it out. So where you go is you go to the Healthy American, you click on religious exemptions, and then what you want to do is you want to sign up for the concierge. That is our best one. We hope that you will do that and be with us and be with like-minded people. We are creating groups of people that are they're sort of self-creating groups on sticking together and fighting this. And there I am on Facebook, on YouTube. Let me stop the share. And one last look here, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm going to be back with you tomorrow, 10 a.m. I come to you Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. live, and that is the Healthy American Morning Show. We talk about positivity, possibility, keep your head above the waves in the stormy seas of life. And then in the afternoons, 3 p.m., Peggy to the Rescue. I hope all of you employers and HR department folk and legal team will join me, 3 p.m., Peggy to the Rescue. Please binge watch the religious exemption playlist so that you will be educated, you'll be up on the rights, you will be able to sleep at night knowing that you're not trying to bamboozle, hoodwink, or swindle, or force, coerce, or harass, or intimidate anyone into these unlawful measures that you are trying to invoke. What is the truth is that we all are invoking our religious rights, our exemption from these actions that are in conflict with our sincerely held religious rights. Thank you for being a part of this 90-minute educational webinar, and I look forward to positive outcomes, positive accommodations. Those of you that are writing these, please let me know if you need help from me over at support@thehealthyamerican.org, and I will see you soon, everybody, in the very next video. Thank you, and God bless you.